What's up, insiders? I'm your host, Eric. So behind me is my Asus monitor. I don't know the model number, so there it is. But overall, this has been my monitor for everything. It's connected to my desktop, so I do everything from gaming to video editing to just simply watching movies. Overall, it's my go-to monitor. It's the first monitor that I've bought in a while, and it's pretty cheap for only around 150 bucks. But is it actually a good monitor? Is it worth you getting? Well, let's find out. So first, let me just get two things out of the way: resolution and screen size. The resolution, it's standard 1080p 1920 by 1080, which is standard in the world right now. And then the screen size is 23.6 inches. But now mentioning the design, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's all made out of plastic. The base as well as the bezel slash frame is all a glossy plastic, which looks decent, though it really does attract fingerprints as well as dust, so I find myself always cleaning it. And then on the back, there's just this matte, kinda harder plastic, which, I mean, it feels okay, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be looking at the back of a monitor. But with the back mentioned, I should probably mention some inputs. So on the back, there is a Kensington lock. This is so you can lock down your monitor so no one steals it. I don't know who's going to steal your monitor, but that's your problem. When it comes to actual inputs, though, there obviously is your power input. But for video inputs, there's HDMI, VGA, and DVI. I've used all three. All three work perfectly fine. I mostly use HDMI because, well, that's what my graphic card outputs to, as well as DVI, but still, HDMI I think is the way to go. At least that's my setup, whatever. But HDMI also transmits audio, so there also is a headphone output on the back of the monitor, which I didn't actually realize till a few days ago. I haven't actually tried it. It's probably works, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend using it, honestly. I mean, I use a mixer because I do all podcasting and whatnot, and run Inside Radio, as that's kind of been mentioned. I don't run it, but that's besides the point. But in all seriousness, the ports are pretty standard. But what about the actual display? How does the resolution look? How does the color accuracy and whatnot look? Now, the resolution is 1080p, so nothing fancy, nothing special. It's standard. And I have a Retina MacBook Pro right here. And I mean, I use them right next to each other, and obviously, there is a resolution difference. I mean, you look at them, and you can obviously notice that. But even with that said, I don't sit down to my monitor and be like, ugh, this needs to have more pixels. It looks good for what it is. Does it actually compare to my Retina MacBook Pro? No, but it's not meant to, and even though it's not meant to, it doesn't look bad. It might not be able to keep up to the Retina quality of my MacBook, but still, the image is very sharp, looks nice, I can't complain. And when it comes to color accuracy, colors look pretty decent. I mean, when I'm video editing and whatnot, the reds look like red, the blues look like blue, etc., etc. I don't sit down at this monitor and be like, it doesn't look that great. It looks fine, actually. This monitor also has a very good response time. At 1080p HD, it does about 60 Hz, and then the delay is only 2 milliseconds, which is pretty nice, especially for gaming. I've done a decent amount of gaming on the monitor, and it all looks great, performs great. I have no complaints. Now, if you want even higher frame rates at like 120 Hz, well, this isn't maybe the monitor for you, but I find 60 Hz to be plenty. And just to let you know, I feel like Asus really had gamers in mind with this monitor. I mean, it has a very good response time, it looks decent. For gaming, this is an excellent monitor. Even for, like, movie watching. I've watched a decent amount of movies on it, and everything looks pretty decent. In fact, there actually is a theater mode, which crushes more of the blacks on the monitor, so it looks, I guess, even better. But now let me mention some things I don't like about this monitor. First, let's take a look at the design. I mentioned how it had some glossy plastic which gets dirty. Yeah, that's not that great, but oh well. The plastic isn't anything high quality, so they could have made it better, but this only is a $150 monitor, so I'm not gonna really bash it too hard there. The stand itself isn't that great. It tends to wobble a little bit if you hit it. It's not that great. But mentioning now something about the picture quality that I don't like the contrast on it. Especially if I compare it to like my MacBook Pro. Compared to my MacBook Pro, the blacks and the whites are a lot better on my MacBook Pro compared to this monitor. On this monitor, the blacks look more gray, and the whites aren't really that white, or sometimes they're actually like overexposed, which is a little bit annoying. Now, I'm saying the blacks aren't great, the whites aren't great, I'm saying the contrast in general isn't that great, but don't freak out just yet. I'm comparing this monitor to first a Retina display, as well as saying you really need awesome contrast when you're doing video editing and whatnot, which isn't 100% the case. If you're a person that does a lot of color work, whether it be in video or pictures, you're not going to want to open up a color board to check all the color accuracy on your videos and photos. This monitor isn't made for that. If you want a monitor that's made for that, spend some more money and get an IPS display. But I definitely would not say this monitor is bad. The contrast might not be perfect, but if you realize that, you can still do okay video editing, photo editing with this monitor. You just have to realize contrast might be a little bit off, so be careful. For around $150, I would recommend this really for anything you can do. It's just, again, if you're like professional and you want to start using a monitor for your work and you do a lot of color work with color accuracy and whatnot, you might want to reconsider. Maybe look at like an IPS display. Maybe look forward to another video. I have an Asus 27-inch IPS monitor that I might be reviewing, so stay tuned for that. But until next time, if you have any comments, questions, concerns about this monitor, this 23.6-inch Asus monitor that I still don't know the model number of, leave me questions, comments, whatnot in the comment section below. Also, like, subscribe, share the fans, help the channel any way you can. Anyway guys, my name's Eric, this is Tech Inside, and I'll see you in the next video.